A gunshot shatters the night on a glass bridge, blood pooling beneath a billionaire's body, trapped with a killer, nowhere to hide. Welcome to Poirot and the Murder on the Glass Bridge, a twisting tale of betrayal. Grab a cup of tea, take a seat, and dive into the mystery. If you're gripped, hit subscribe. Your support means everything. Chapter 1. The invitation to peril high in the Swiss Alps, where the air was crisp and the peaks pierced the sky like jagged knives. Hercule Poirot adjusted his impeccable moustache, staring at the peculiar invitation in his gloved hand. It was no ordinary summons. Embossed in gold on thick vellum, it beckoned him to the inaugural gala at the infamous Glass Bridge estate, a marvel of modern engineering owned by the enigmatic billionaire Victor Langford. Poirot, ever the master detective with his little grey cells always at work, sensed intrigue beneath the polite words. "Mon ami," he murmured to himself, "this is not merely a party, it is a puzzle waiting to be solved." The estate, perched on a cliffside, featured a stunning glass bridge spanning a deep gorge, connecting the main villa to a secluded observatory tower. Guests whispered of its fragility, how it shimmered like a mirage, transparent yet strong enough to hold a crowd. Or so they claimed. Poirot had heard rumours. Langford, a tech mogul obsessed with illusions, had invited the eclectic mix of rivals, ex-lovers, and shady associates, each with motives as murky as the alpine mists. As Poirot's train chugged upward through snow-dusted valleys, he pondered the guest list, pieced together from discreet inquiries. There was Eleanor Voss, the sharp-tongued journalist who'd exposed Langford's corporate scandals, her eyes always scanning for the next scoop. Then came Dr. Harlan Crowe, a rival inventor whose patents Langford had allegedly stolen, nursing a grudge that simmered like a forgotten pot. Not to forget Sophia Langford, Victor's estranged wife, elegant but embittered, rumoured to be plotting a divorce that could cost him half his fortune. And lurking in the shadows was Marcus Black, a shadowy financier with ties to underground dealings, whose loans to Langford came with strings attached. Poirot smiled faintly. Such a gathering was a recipe for drama, perhaps even danger. He recalled a similar case from his past, the Orient Express affair, where confined spaces bred betrayal. Here, the glass bridge would serve as the perfect stage. Upon arrival, the estate loomed like a crystal palace, its glass facades reflecting the setting sun in a kaleidoscope of colours. Poirot was greeted by Langford himself, a tall man with a predatory grin and eyes that missed nothing. "Monsieur Poirot, your reputation precedes you," Langford boomed, shaking his hand with calculated firmness. "I've heard you can solve any riddle. Care to test that on my bridge? It's unbreakable, you know, engineered to withstand earthquakes." Poirot nodded politely, but his mind whirred. Why invite a detective if not anticipating trouble? As guests mingled in the grand hall, sipping champagne under chandeliers that dangled like icicles, tensions bubbled subtly. Elena cornered Sophia for a whispered argument, while Dr. Crowe eyed Langford's latest gadget, a holographic display, with outright envy. Marcus Black hovered near the bar, his smile too slick, too knowing. The evening progressed with a tour of the bridge itself, a 200-foot span of tempered glass, suspended by invisible cables, offering vertigo-inducing views of the abyss below. "Step lightly, friends," Langford joked, leading the group across. "One crack and we're all doomed." Laughter echoed, but Poirot noticed the unease. Sophia clutched the railing. Elena snapped photos obsessively. Crowe tested the floor with his cane, and Black lingered at the edge, staring into the void. As night fell, the gala kicked off with fireworks illuminating the bridge like a vein of lightning. Poirot, ever observant, positioned himself near the observatory entrance, sipping herbal tea instead of wine to keep his wits sharp. Conversations swirled, whispers of embezzlement, stolen ideas, and forbidden affairs. "This bridge is a metaphor for trust," Langford proclaimed in a toast. transparent, yet so easily shattered. But as the clock struck midnight, the first hint of chaos emerged. A distant rumble, thunder, or something more sinister. Guest paused, glasses midway to lips. Poirot's moustache twitched. His instincts screamed warning. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the bridge into semi-darkness. In that moment, a single gunshot cracked the air, sharp and final. Screams erupted as bodies pressed against the glass rails. When the lights surged back, Victor Langford lay sprawled in the center of the bridge, a bullet wound blooming on his chest, blood pooling on the flawless surface. The bridge was sealed at both ends by automated doors, locked from the inside per Langford's own security demo. No one had entered or exited. The guests were trapped with the body and the killer among them. Poirot stepped forward, his voice calm amid the panic. "Mesdames et messieurs, do not touch anything. This is now a crime scene." He knelt, examining the wound. Close range, no powder burns visible yet. The gun? Nowhere in sight. The bridge's glass floor showed no footprints in the blood, no scuffs. "Impossible," muttered Dr. Crow, pale as snow. Elena's camera flashed relentlessly, capturing the horror. Sophia wept theatrically, while Black's face remained impassive, almost satisfied. Poirot's grey cells ignited. Motives aplenty, but how was it done on this exposed, see-through platform? As police sirens wailed faintly from the valley below, delayed by the remote location, Poirot knew he had mere hours to unravel the truth before alibis solidified. This opening salvo sets the stage for deception, where transparency hides the darkest secrets. But as suspicions mount and alliances fracture, what revelations await in the shadows of the observatory? Chapter 2. Shadows on the glass. Hercule Poirot stood motionless on the glass bridge, his polished shoes reflecting faintly in the blood-streaked surface. The air was thick with panic, the guests' faces pale under the observatory's harsh floodlights. The locked doors at both ends of the bridge trapped them like specimens in a jar, and the absence of the murder weapon gnawed at Poirot's mind. He straightened, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "Mesdames et messieurs, we must remain composed. The truth hides in plain sight, and I, Poirot, will find it." His eyes scanned the group, each guest a potential culprit, their expressions a mix of fear, defiance and calculation. The bridge, now a crime scene, shimmered under the moonlight filtering through the alpine clouds. Poirot knelt again, not to examine the body, but to study the glass itself. Its surface was pristine, save for the crimson pool, with no smudges or scratches to suggest a struggle. The bullet had entered Victor Langford's chest at an angle, suggesting the shooter stood close, yet no one had seen a gun. Poirot's gaze flicked to the observatory tower at the bridge's far end, its dark windows like eyes watching the chaos. "The answer lies there," he murmured, gesturing toward the tower. He announced that the group must move to the observatory for questioning, as the bridge was too exposed. The guests hesitated, eyeing the transparent floor warily, but followed as Poirot led the way, his steps deliberate. Inside the observatory, a circular room of steel and glass, telescopes pointed at the starry sky, and a long oak table sat beneath a domed ceiling. The space felt cold, clinical, a stark contrast to the villa's opulence. Poirot directed everyone to sit, noting how they chose their places. Elena Voss near the door, her notebook already open. Dr. Harlan Crowe at the table's head, his fingers drumming. Sophia Langford by a window staring outward, and Marcus Black in a shadowed corner, his posture relaxed yet alert. Poirot stood at the centre, his small frame commanding attention. "We begin with facts," he said. "Monsieur Langford was shot at midnight. The bridge was locked. No weapon is found. Each of you was present. Speak, and let us uncover what you saw." Eleanor spoke first, her voice sharp. "I was taking photos of the fireworks. The lights went out, then the shot. I didn't see who fired." Her eyes darted to Sophia, a hint of accusation. Poirot nodded, noting her defensiveness. Dr. Crowe cleared his throat, his tone gruff. I was testing the bridge's edge with my cane when the lights flickered. I saw nothing but shadows. His scowl suggested irritation, perhaps at being questioned. Sophia's voice trembled as she clutched a handkerchief. I was near Victor, admiring the view. The darkness came so fast, then the shot. I swear I didn't see anything. Her tears seemed genuine, but Poirot's eyes lingered on her trembling hands. Marcus Black leaned forward, his voice smooth. I was at the bridge's end, watching the group. The shot came from the center, but it was too dark to see who. His calm demeanor felt calculated, almost rehearsed. Poirot paced, his mind cataloguing their words. Each claimed innocence, yet their stories aligned too neatly on the darkness, the shot, the confusion. He stopped by a telescope, running a finger along its edge, and noticed a faint smudge. Oil, perhaps, or something else. Curious, he muttered, filing it away. He turned to the group, his tone probing. Did anyone notice Monsieur Langford's behavior before the shot? Was he anxious, distracted? Silence fell. Then Elena spoke. He was boasting about the bridge as usual, but he kept glancing at the observatory like he expected something. Crow nodded reluctantly. He mentioned a surprise for the gala, some new tech demo. Sophia's eyes widened. He said it would change everything. I thought he meant the party. Black said nothing, but his lips twitched slightly. Poirot's attention shifted to the room's details. The observatory had one entrance from the bridge, locked now, and a small service hatch for equipment, bolted shut. A control panel on the wall, likely for the bridge's lighting and locks, blinked with green lights. Poirot approached it, noting a faint scratch near the keypad. Monsieur Langford designed this system himself, oui? He asked. Crow snorted. His obsession with control, cameras, locks, all his toys. Poirot's eyes gleamed. Then perhaps the system saw what we did not. He requested access to the security footage, but Sophia shook her head. Victor kept the codes private, even from me. Black added, the system's in the villa's main server room. We'd need to cross the bridge again. The group bristled at the idea of returning to the crime scene, but Poirot insisted. We must understand the stage of this crime. As they crossed back, the bridge felt colder, the blood now congealing under the floodlights. Poirot paused midway, staring at the body's position. Langford lay face up, arms splayed as if caught mid-step. The bullet's entry suggested a shooter standing directly in front, yet the guests had been scattered. Poirot crouched, peering through the glass to the gorge below. A glint caught his eye, something metallic, wedged in a crevice far beneath the bridge. Mon Dieu, he whispered. Could it be the gun? Unreachable without equipment. It was a clue for later. Back in the villa, Poirot led them to the server room, a cramped space humming with monitors and blinking servers. The security system required a passcode, and none of the guests claimed to know it. Poirot's fingers tapped his temple. If no one has the code, then how was the bridge locked so swiftly? He noticed a small maintenance log on the desk. Its last entry dated hours before the gala, noting a system test by an unnamed technician. Interesting, Poirot said, pocketing the log for later scrutiny. He turned to the group, his voice firm. Someone here knows more than they say. Motives are clear. Greed, revenge, betrayal. But the method? That is the key. As the group dispersed to their rooms, under orders to stay put until police arrived, Poirot lingered in the server room. He examined a monitor showing the bridge's live feed, frozen at the moment of the blackout. Shadows moved indistinct, but one figure stood out. A silhouette near the observatory, holding something small. Poirot's mustache curled slightly. The game deepens, he said to himself. The night was far from over, and the villa's walls held secrets yet to be pried loose. The observatory's clues point to hidden truths, but what lies in the villa's darker corners, where whispers of betrayal grow louder? Chapter 3. Whispers in the villa's grand hall, once alive with the clink of champagne flutes, now felt like a gilded cage as Hercule Poirot moved through its corridors, his footsteps muffled by plush carpets. The guests, confined to their rooms under his strict instructions, awaited the police, whose arrival was delayed by a sudden alpine storm. Lightning flickered outside, casting jagged shadows across the glass walls. Poirot's mind churned, piecing together the fragments. The missing gun, the locked bridge, the shadowy figure on the security feed. "The villa itself is a witness," he murmured, his eyes scanning the opulent decor for anything amiss. He decided to explore the private quarters, where personal secrets might betray the killer's hand. Poirot began with Victor Langford's study, a mahogany-panelled room tucked behind the main staircase. The door was unlocked, unusual for a man so obsessed with control. Inside, papers were strewn across a desk, and a safe stood ajar, its contents, a stack of contracts and a single USB drive, untouched. Poirot's gloved fingers flipped through the documents. Business deals with Marcus Black's firm, marked with aggressive red ink. Debts, perhaps? He mused. The USB drive bore no label, but its presence in an open safe intrigued him. Slipping it into his pocket, he noticed a framed photo of Victor and Sophia, her smile strained, his hand gripping her shoulder too tightly. A cracked corner of the frame suggested it had been thrown or dropped. A marriage of cracks, not just glass, Poirot noted. Next, he visited Eleanor Voss's guest room. After a discreet knock yielded no response. The door was slightly ajar, and inside, her belongings were meticulously organized: a laptop, a recorder, and a notebook filled with shorthand. Poirot skimmed the pages, finding scathing notes about Langford's shady acquisitions, and a cryptic mention of Crow's prototype. A folded newspaper clipping detailed Elena's exposé on Langford's company, with a handwritten note, "He'll pay for silencing me." Poirot's moustache twitched. Elena's ambition was a motive, but her absence from the room was curious. A quick glance revealed her camera bag, empty of its memory card. "Where are you hiding, mademoiselle?" he whispered. Dr. Harlan Crow's room was a contrast, cluttered with blueprints and mechanical sketches. A half-built gadget, resembling a miniature drone, sat on the table, its wires exposed. Poirot recognized it as similar to Langford's holographic tech, but cruder. A letter, crumpled in the waste bin, caught his eye. It was from Langford, dated a month prior, offering to buy Crow's patents for a pittance. Crow's scrawled reply was furious. "You'll regret stealing my life's work." Poirot nodded. Crow's resentment ran deep, but would he kill in plain sight? A smudge of oil on the door handle matched the one Poirot had seen on the observatory's telescope. "A man of machines leaves traces," he said softly. Sophia Langford's suite was a shrine to luxury, with silk dresses draped over chairs and jewellery scattered like stars. A diary lay open on her vanity, its pages filled with elegant cursive. Poirot read an entry from the previous week. "Victor's obsession with the bridge will ruin us. I can't stay in this prison." Another page mentioned a lawyer's name and a meeting about assets. A bottle of sleeping pills, half empty, sat beside a glass of untouched wine. Poirot's eyes narrowed. Sophia's grief on the bridge had seemed real, but her plans suggested calculation. A faint perfume lingered, the same scent he'd noticed near the bridge's railing. "Madame, what role do you play?" he wondered. Marcus Black's room was sparse, almost sterile, with a single suitcase and a locked briefcase. Poirot, ever resourceful, tested the lock with a hairpin, revealing a ledger detailing loans to Langford's company, with escalating interest rates. A scribbled note read, "Default by gala, or I take control." Black's cool demeanour on the bridge now made sense. He stood to gain from Langford's death. A burner phone, hidden in a sock, showed recent calls to an unlisted number. Poirot pocketed the phone, sensing a web of influence beyond the villa's walls. "Monsieur Black plays a dangerous game," he said, locking the briefcase. As Poirot returned to the hall, a faint noise, a shuffle, came from the kitchen wing. He followed, his cane tapping softly. and found Elena Voss slipping through a side door. Her face flushed. "Monsieur Poirot," she gasped, clutching a memory card. "I was retrieving evidence." Her eyes avoided his, and Poirot's smile was polite but piercing. "Evidence or something to hide?" he asked. She stammered, claiming she'd been downloading photos from the bridge. Poirot let her go, but noted her nervous grip on the card. The truth slips through fingers like sand, he thought. Back in the study, Poirot inserted the USB drive into Langford's computer, bypassing the password with a trick from a past case. The drive revealed a video file. Langford speaking to the camera, his face tense. "If you're watching this, I'm likely dead. The bridge was my triumph, but also my trap. One of them knows too much." The video cut off abruptly. Poirot leaned back, his mind racing. Who was them? And why record such a message? The storm outside roared louder, thunder shaking the glass walls. A power surge flickered the lights, and Poirot froze. A memory of the blackout on the bridge. "The system," he said. "It holds the key." He hurried to the server room, where the monitors still hummed. Using the maintenance log's clues, he accessed a secondary feed, showing the bridge minutes before the murder. The footage was grainy, but a figure lingered near the control panel, tampering with it before the blackout. The face was obscured, but the coat's distinctive lapel matched one guest's attire. Poirot's eyes gleamed. "The net tightens," he said, saving the footage. The villa's secrets were unraveling, but the killer's motive remained elusive. As lightning illuminated the gorge outside, Poirot sensed the storm was not just in the sky. What truths would the next room reveal, and how close was the killer to striking again? Chapter 4. The Echoes of Motive. Hercule Poirot stood in the server room, the hum of electronics a stark contrast to the storm raging outside. The grainy footage of a figure tampering with the bridge's control panel lingered in his mind. The distinctive lapel a tantalizing clue. He needed to confront the guests, but first he sought the heart of Victor Langford's empire, the private workshop where the billionaire crafted his technological marvels. The villa's corridors, lined with sleek glass panels, reflected Poirot's determined stride as he moved toward the restricted wing. "The man's creations may speak louder than his words," he murmured, his cane clicking against the marble floor. The workshop door required a keycard, but Poirot, ever resourceful, used a thin wire from his pocket to bypass the lock, a trick learned from a Parisian locksmith years ago. Inside, the room was a maze of circuits, monitors, and half-assembled gadgets. Blueprints pinned to a corkboard detailed the bridge's engineering, with notes in Langford's sharp handwriting. Stress test passed. Secondary controls hidden. Poirot's eyes narrowed at the mention of secondary controls. Could there be another way to manipulate the bridge's locks? A small safe, tucked beneath a workbench, was locked, but a nearby notepad bore faint impressions of writing. Holding it to the light, Poirot deciphered a sequence of numbers, possibly the safe's code. Inside, he found a prototype device, palm-sized, with a blinking red light. Its label read, "Holodisruptor." Poirot pocketed it, suspecting it tied to Langford's cryptic video message. Leaving the workshop, Poirot decided to question the guests individually, starting with Elena Voss, whose nervous behavior in the kitchen raised suspicions. He found her in the library, hunched over her laptop, the memory card now inserted. "Mademoiselle Voss," Poirot began, his tone gentle but firm. "Your photographs may hold the truth. May I see them?" Elena hesitated, then opened a folder of images from the gala. Most showed the bridge's dazzling lights and guests posing, but one caught Poirot's eye. A blurry shot of Langford arguing with Dr. Harlan Crowe near the observatory entrance, moments before the blackout. "This was accidental," Elena admitted. "I was adjusting the lens." Poirot studied the image. Crowe's face was contorted in anger. Langford's hand raised defensively. "A heated exchange," Poirot said. "What did you overhear?" Elena bit her lip. Something about a stolen design. Crowe was furious, saying Victor would pay. Next, Poirot sought Dr. Crow, finding him in the villa's lounge, nursing a brandy. The inventor's eyes were bloodshot, his hands unsteady. "Monsieur Crow," Poirot said, seating himself opposite. "Your quarrel with Langford was captured on camera. Care to explain?" Crow's jaw tightened. "He took my life's work, a holographic projector I designed. He claimed it as his own, built his empire on it." Poirot leaned forward. "Enough to kill?" Crow slammed his glass down. "I wanted justice, not murder. I was on the bridge's edge when the shot rang out." Poirot noted the oil smudge on Crow's sleeve, matching the telescope and door handle. "Your hands craft machines," he said. "Did they craft a crime?" Crow's silence was answer enough. Sophia Langford was next, found in the conservatory, surrounded by exotic plants. Her eyes were dry now, her composure regained. "Madame," Poirot began, "your diary speaks of a marriage in ruin. Did you seek freedom through violence?" Sophia laughed bitterly. "Victor's death doesn't free me. It complicates everything. His will leaves me nothing unless I stay married." She paused, then added, "He was meeting someone that night, in secret. He wouldn't say who." Poirot's mind flashed to the burner phone in Marcus Black's room. "A secret meeting on a locked bridge?" he pressed. Sophia shrugged, but her fingers twisted a ring nervously. Poirot noticed a faint bruise on her wrist, hidden by a bracelet. "Someone hurt you, madame?" he asked. She turned away, silent. Marcus Black was the hardest to find. Eventually located on the villa's balcony, staring at the storm-lashed gorge. "Monsieur Black," Poirot said, joining him, "your ledger suggests Langford owed you a fortune. His death secures your control, oui?" Black's smile was cold. "Business is business, Poirot. I was on the bridge like everyone else when he fell. Check the footage." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "I have. A figure tampered with the controls, wearing a coat like yours." Black's smile didn't waver. "Many coats look alike in the dark." Poirot noted the evasion, recalling the burner phone's calls. "Who were you contacting before the gala?" he asked. Black's expression hardened. "Private matters," he said, turning away. Poirot returned to the server room, the prototype device heavy in his pocket. He tested it, and a faint shimmer appeared. A holographic distortion, bending light around it. "Mon Dieu," he whispered. Could this explain the missing gun? A hologram masking the weapon's disposal. He cross-checked the security footage again, focusing on the figure at the control panel. The lapel matched Black's coat, but the height seemed off, closer to Elena's frame. Yet the oil smudges pointed to Crow, and Sophia's secrets hinted at desperation. The guest stories clashed like storm clouds, each hiding a piece of the truth. As Poirot left the server room, a crash echoed from the villa's upper floor. He hurried upstairs, finding a shattered vase outside Elena's room. Footprints in the dust led to a locked storage closet. Using his lockpicking skills, Poirot opened it, revealing a maintenance ladder descending to the bridge's understructure. "A hidden path," he said, his pulse quickening. The ladder could have allowed someone to slip beneath the bridge, unseen. But who and why? The storm's thunder masked any further sounds, but Poirot felt the killer's presence, close and cunning. The villa's secrets are tightening like a noose. But what lies beneath the bridge, where shadows conceal the final clue? Chapter 5. Beneath the transparent veil, Hercule Poirot stood at the mouth of the maintenance ladder, its rungs descending into the dark underbelly of the glass bridge. The storm's howl vibrated through the villa's walls, but Poirot's focus was razor-sharp, his little grey cells buzzing with the discovery of this hidden passage. The shattered vase and dusty footprints suggested someone had used this route recently, perhaps to dispose of the elusive murder weapon, or to orchestrate the blackout. "The bridge may be transparent," he murmured, "but its secrets lie in shadow." With a flashlight from the storage closet, he began his descent, each step echoing with purpose. The ladder led to a narrow service platform slung beneath the bridge, a lattice of steel cables and panels overlooking the gorge's jagged depths. The wind whipped through, chilling Poirot's face as he scanned the area. His flashlight caught a glint. There, wedged between two support beams, was a small metal object. Carefully, he retrieved it. A compact pistol, its barrel cold, but unmistakably the caliber matching Langford's wound. Voila, the missing piece, Poirot said, wrapping it in his handkerchief. The gun bore no fingerprints, wiped clean, but a faint scratch on its grip hinted at hasty handling. Nearby, a discarded glove lay crumpled, stained with oil. Poirot's mind flashed to Dr. Harlan Crow's oily smudges, but he cautioned himself. Clues could be planted. Returning to the villa, Poirot secured the gun in his coat and headed to the main hall, where the guests were growing restless. The storm had delayed the police further, giving him time to press his advantage. He gathered the group, their faces tense under the chandelier's glow. "Mesdames et messieurs," he announced. "A weapon has been found, hidden beneath the bridge. One of you knows how it got there." Gasps rippled through the room. Elena Voss's eyes widened, her hand clutching her notebook. Dr. Crow's face paled, his fingers twitching. Sophia Langford's lips parted, but she said nothing. Marcus Black leaned back, his expression unreadable. Poirot watched their reactions, noting every flinch. He began with Elena, holding up the glove. "Mademoiselle, you were seen near a maintenance closet. Did you venture below?" Eleanor's voice was sharp. "I told you I was retrieving my memory card. I didn't go under any bridge." Her defiance felt brittle, and Poirot noticed her glance at Crow. Turning to the inventor, he said, "Monsieur Crow, this glove bears oil, like the smudges on your sleeve. Care to explain?" Crow sputtered. "I work with machines. It's natural I'd have oil. I've never seen that glove." His outrage seemed genuine, but Poirot pressed. "You knew of the service platform, oui?" "As an engineer," Crow nodded reluctantly. "Langford showed me the plans once, but I never went down there." Sophia spoke next, unprompted. "Victor designed every inch of that bridge. He'd have known about any hidden access." Her voice was steady, but Poirot caught a flicker of fear in her eyes. "Did he share such secrets with you, madame?" he asked. Sophia shook her head. "He kept his work private, even from me." Marcus Black interjected, his tone smooth. "That platform's for maintenance crews, not guests. You're chasing ghosts, Poirot." His confidence grated, and Poirot recalled the burner phone's calls. "Perhaps, monsieur, but ghosts leave traces, like your coat in the footage." Poirot shifted tactics, revealing the hollow disruptor from Langford's workshop. "This device," he said, holding it aloft, "creates illusions. Could it hide a gun in plain sight?" The group stared, puzzled. Crow's eyes lit up. "That's my design. Langford stole it! Claimed it was his!" His voice cracked with anger, but Poirot raised a hand. "A motive, yes, but also a method. Did anyone see this device used on the bridge?" Silence followed, but Elena's fingers tightened on her notebook, as if guarding a secret. Poirot decided to test her. "Mademoiselle, your photos. May I see the memory card itself?" Elena hesitated, then handed it over. Poirot pocketed it, planning to check it privately. As the group dispersed, Poirot retreated to a quiet study to examine the memory card. Using a spare laptop, he found deleted files, recovered with a trick from a past case. One image showed a faint shimmer on the bridge, near where Langford fell, consistent with a holographic effect. "Clever," Poirot whispered. The photo's timestamp matched the blackout, suggesting the hollow disruptor was active. But who wielded it? The figure in the security footage with the distinctive lapel remained his focus. He cross-referenced Eleanor's photos with the footage, noticing a shadow near the control panel that matched Sophia's silhouette, not Black's. Yet the oil pointed to Crow, and Black's ledger screamed motive. A sudden knock interrupted him. Sophia stood at the door, her face pale. "Monsieur Poirot, I must tell you something." She glanced nervously behind her. "Victor was afraid that night. He said someone had threatened him, about the bridge's safety." Poirot's eyes narrowed. "Who, madame?" Sophia hesitated. "He wouldn't say, but he kept looking at Marcus." Before Poirot could probe further, A scream echoed from the kitchen. Rushing over, he found Eleanor clutching her arm, a knife on the floor. "Someone pushed me!" she gasped. The kitchen's back door swung open, leading to the gorge's edge. Footprints in the snow vanished into the storm. Poirot ordered the guests to stay together, his voice firm. "The killer grows bold," he said, his mind racing. The gun, the glove, the hologram, all pointed to a meticulously planned crime. But the attack on Elena suggested desperation. Was the killer covering tracks or sending a warning? As lightning illuminated the bridge outside, Poirot felt the puzzle tightening, each clue a thread in a tangled web. The storm hides more than the police. What danger stalks the villa's halls, ready to strike again? Chapter 6. The tangled web Hercule Poirot stood in the villa's kitchen, the storm's roar seeping through the open back door as snow swirled across the tiled floor. Elena Voss shivered, clutching her arm where a shallow cut bled through her sleeve, the knife gleaming ominously on the ground. The footprints leading into the blizzard were already fading, but Poirot's sharp eyes traced their size and tread, too large for Elena, too small for Marcus Black. "Someone acts to silence us," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. He ordered the door secured and Elena's wound bandaged, his mind racing to connect this new attack to the murder on the bridge. "The killer weaves a web," he murmured, "but every thread can be unraveled." Poirot escorted Elena to the main hall, where the other guests waited under the flickering chandelier. Their faces betrayed unease. Dr. Harlan Crow's scowl deepened, Sophia Langford's hands trembled, and Marcus Black's calm facade showed a crack of irritation. Poirot addressed them, his tone commanding. "An attempt was made on Mademoiselle Voss's life. No one leaves this room until I say." He studied their reactions. Crow's surprise seemed genuine, Sophia's concern overstated, and Black's eyes flicked to the door. Poirot's suspicion grew. The attack suggested the killer feared Elena's evidence, perhaps her photos or something she'd overheard. He began by questioning Elena privately in a nearby parlour, her notebook and memory card on the table. "Mademoiselle, what did you see that warranted such violence?" he asked. Elena's voice wavered. "I was in the kitchen, transferring photos to my laptop. Someone grabbed me from behind. I didn't see their face." Poirot pressed. "Your deleted photos showed a shimmer on the bridge. Was it the holodisruptor?" Elena nodded reluctantly. "I think so. I caught it by accident right before the blackout." Poirot's mustache twitched. The device could have cloaked the gun's disposal, but who operated it? He returned her memory card, noting her guarded expression. "Be cautious, mademoiselle," he warned. "The truth is dangerous." Next, Poirot turned to the footprints in the snow. Borrowing a coat, he ventured briefly outside, the storm biting at his face. The tracks led toward the gorge's edge, then vanished near a rocky outcrop. Kneeling, he found a torn scrap of fabric caught on a thorn, dark wool, matching the coat in the security footage. "A careless mistake," he said, pocketing it. Back inside, he examined the fabric under a lamp. Its weave resembled Sophia's overcoat, but the oil stains pointed again to Crow. The clues clashed, deliberately so, as if the killer were sowing confusion. Poirot's mind returned to the holodisruptor, its ability to distort reality, a perfect tool for deception. He gathered the guests again, holding up the fabric. "This was found near the gorge. Who does it belong to?" Sophia paled, touching her coat instinctively, but said nothing. Crow muttered, "Could be anyone's. Coats tear easily." Black smirked. "You're grasping, Poirot. That proves nothing." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "On the contrary, it proves someone fled the kitchen, and I will know who." He shifted focus to the burner phone from Black's room, confronting him. "Monsieur, your calls before the gala. To whom?" Black's smile tightened. "Business associates." "Nothing to do with this?" Poirot pressed. "Yet Langford feared a threat, possibly from you." Black shrugged, but his fingers drummed, a rare sign of nerves. Poirot's next move was to revisit the bridge. now cordoned off by makeshift barriers. The storm had calmed slightly, allowing faint moonlight to illuminate the glass. He examined the control panel at the bridge's villa end, noticing a faint burn mark, possibly from tampering with the wiring. The blackout was no accident, he said, recalling the maintenance log's system test. He suspected the killer had sabotaged the lights to create chaos, using the hollow disruptor to mask their actions. But the panel's keypad required a code, and only Langford's inner circle might know it. Poirot's thoughts turned to Sophia's claim of a secret meeting. Could Langford have shared the code with his mystery contact? A sudden realization struck. The USB drive's video mentioned, "One of them knows too much." Poirot returned to the study, replaying the footage on Langford's computer. This time, he noticed background audio, a faint hum, like machinery, suggesting Langford recorded it in his workshop. Checking the timestamp, it was hours before the gala. Poirot searched the workshop again, finding a hidden compartment behind a blueprint. Inside was a single page, a contract transferring bridge ownership to an unnamed party upon Langford's death. "Mon Dieu," Poirot whispered. A motive beyond revenge. He confronted Sophia, showing her the contract. "Madame, did you know of this?" Her eyes widened, then hardened. "Victor never told me, but I suspected he was planning to sell. He said it would secure his legacy." Poirot nodded, filing away her reaction. The contract pointed to a financial motive, possibly tied to Black's loans or Crow's patents. But Elena's attack suggested a more immediate threat. Someone feared exposure. As Poirot left the study, a faint creak came from the ceiling. Looking up, he saw a vent grate, slightly ajar. "Another secret passage," he said, climbing a chair to peer inside. Dust motes swirled, and a faint scuff mark suggested recent use. The villa's web grows tighter, but who crawls through its hidden veins, ready to strike before Poirot unravels the truth? Chapter 7. The hidden veins. Hercule Poirot balanced precariously on the chair, his flashlight beam piercing the dusty vent above the study. The scuff mark inside hinted at a secret route through the villa's walls, a silent highway for someone seeking to move unseen. "The killer is a spider," he murmured, "spinning paths where none should exist." The storm outside had dulled to a restless grumble, but the air in the villa crackled with tension. Poirot climbed down, his mind racing. The vent, the contract, the attack on Elena, all pointed to a calculated mind desperate to keep secrets buried. He resolved to trace the vent's path, but first, he needed to test the guests' alibis against this new discovery. He gathered the group in the grand hall, their faces drawn under the dimming chandelier. "Mesdames et messieurs," Poirot announced, his voice cutting through their murmurs. "A hidden passage has been found, accessible from the study. One of you used it to move undetected." Elena Voss's hand tightened on her bandaged arm, her eyes darting to the ceiling. Dr. Harlan Crow shifted uncomfortably, his fingers smudged with oil. Sophia Langford's gaze dropped to her lap, while Marcus Black's lips curled faintly, as if amused. Poirot held up the torn fabric from the gorge. "This matches a coat, perhaps Madame Langford's. Speak." Sophia's voice was sharp. "My coat's intact. Check it yourself." Poirot nodded, noting her quick defense. He began with Crow, whose engineering knowledge made him a prime suspect for navigating hidden passages. "Monsieur, you knew the bridge's design. Did you also know the villa's secrets?" Crow's scowl deepened. "I studied the bridge, not the house. Langford kept his blueprints guarded." Poirot's eyes flicked to Crow's oil-stained cuff. "Yet your traces are everywhere. Telescope, glove, now a vent. Curious, non?" Crow flushed, stammering. "I was inspecting equipment, not crawling through walls." Poirot let the silence linger, watching Crow's unease grow. Next, he turned to Marcus Black, whose burner phone and ledger suggested deeper involvement. "Monsieur, the contract I found transfers bridge ownership upon Langford's death. Your loans positioned you to gain. Did you use the vent to act?" Black's smile was icy. I'm a businessman, Poirot, not a cat burglar. I was on the bridge during the shot as you saw. Poirot pressed. And your calls? To whom? Black shrugged. Partners, ensuring my investments. Nothing more. His calm was infuriating, but Poirot sensed a crack in his armor, a slight tremor in his hand. Elena, still shaken, spoke before Poirot could ask. I heard something in the walls last night before the gala. A scraping, like metal. Her voice trembled, but her eyes were sharp. Poirot nodded, filing away her observation. And you, mademoiselle, why delete your photos? Elena hesitated. I panicked. Some showed things I wasn't ready to share. Poirot's moustache twitched. Her vagueness was deliberate. He turned to Sophia last. Madame, your husband feared a threat. Did he mention passages in the villa? Sophia's fingers twisted her bracelet. He was paranoid, always checking doors, vents. He said the house had eyes. Her words hung heavy, hinting at surveillance. Poirot decided to explore the vent himself. Using a stepladder from the storage closet, he climbed into the narrow shaft, his flashlight revealing a cramped tunnel lined with wires and pipes. Crawling carefully, he followed the path, finding it branched toward the guest rooms and the bridge's control room. A small grate overlooked Elena's room, explaining the scraping she'd heard. Near the control room, he found a discarded screwdriver, its tip worn, likely used to tamper with the bridge's panel. The spider leaves tools, he said, pocketing it. The vent ended at a sealed hatch above the observatory, locked from the outside. Someone with access had used this route, but who? Returning to the hall, Poirot examined Sophia's coat, finding a missing button, but no tear. The fabric from the gorge was a misdirection, he realized, planted to mislead. He shifted focus to the hollow disruptor, testing it again in the study. The device projected a faint shimmer, enough to obscure a small object, like a gun in dim light. This was used on the bridge, he said, recalling the photo's shimmer. But the device required close proximity, meaning the killer was near Langford at the moment of the shot. He cross-checked the security footage, pausing on a frame where a shadow moved near the control panel, holding a small object. The figure's posture suggested Eleanor, but the oil stains kept pointing to Crow. A sudden power flicker interrupted his thoughts, plunging the hall into darkness for a moment. When the lights returned, a note lay on the table, scrawled in block letters. "Stop digging, detective." Poirot's pulse quickened. The killer was watching, close enough to slip the note unnoticed. He scanned the guests, their faces a mix of fear and suspicion. "The game grows desperate," he said, folding the note. He ordered the group to stay together, suspecting another attack. As he moved to the control room to secure the screwdriver, he heard a faint click from the ceiling, a vent grate shifting. The killer's web is closing, but what trap awaits Poirot in the villa's hidden heart? Chapter 8. The Spider's Strike. Hercule Poirot froze in the control room, the faint click from the ceiling vent sending a chill down his spine. The screwdriver in his hand, its worn tip a silent witness to tampering, felt heavier now, as if it carried the weight of the killer's intent. The scrawled note, "Stop digging, detective," lay folded in his pocket, a taunt from someone close, someone watching. "The spider moves swiftly," he murmured, his eyes darting to the grate above. The villa's hidden passages were no longer just a clue. They were a battlefield. With the storm outside now a low rumble, Poirot knew time was running out before the police arrived, and the killer was growing bolder. He secured the control room door and climbed a maintenance ladder to inspect the vent. The grate was loose, its screws recently turned, and a faint scent of perfume lingered, Sophia's fragrance, unmistakable from the bridge. "Madam, you weave a tangled thread," he whispered, but he cautioned himself against haste. The oil stains pointed to Dr. Harlan Crow, the burner phone to Marcus Black, and Eleanor Voss's photos held secrets she guarded fiercely. The killer might be one or more working in concert. Poirot descended, his mind mapping the villa's layout. The vent's path connecting the control room, guest quarters, an observatory like arteries. He gathered the guests in the grand hall, their faces taut with dread. "Mesdames et messieurs," he began, his voice calm but piercing. "A threat has been made against me, left in this very room. The killer is among us, and they fear exposure." He held up the screwdriver. "This was used to sabotage the bridge's controls. Who among you is so skilled?" Dr. Crow's eyes flashed. "I'm an engineer, Poirot, but I don't skulk in vents. Check my tools. They're in my room." Elena's voice cut in, sharp. "You're quick to defend, Harlan. What about your argument with Victor?" Crow glared, but Poirot raised a hand. "Enough. We seek truth, not accusations." He turned to Sophia, noting her rigid posture. "Madame, your perfume was in the vent above the control room. Explain." Sophia's laugh was brittle. "I've been in my room, Monsieur Poirot. Many women wear similar scents." Her denial was smooth, but her fingers clutched her bracelet, the bruise beneath it more visible now. Marcus Black spoke next, unprompted. "You're chasing scents and shadows, detective. The real question is who benefits most from Langford's death?" His eyes locked on Sophia, who flinched. Poirot's mustache twitched. Black's deflection was clever, but his burner phone still nagged at Poirot's suspicions. Deciding to test the group's reactions, Poirot revealed the contract's details without showing the document. Langford planned to transfer the bridge's ownership upon his death. Who stood to gain? Silence fell, heavy as the alpine air. Elena's pen paused, her eyes narrowing. Crow muttered, "He'd never sell. His ego wouldn't allow it." Sophia's voice was soft. "He mentioned a legacy, but I thought it was the company, not the bridge." Black leaned forward, his tone measured. "Business deals shift daily. That contract means nothing without a name." Poirot noted their responses. Each deflected, none confessed. He excused himself to the workshop, suspecting the hollow disruptor held more answers. Activating it, he noticed its battery was low, suggesting heavy use before the murder. The device's log, accessed via a hidden menu, showed it was activated at 11:58 p.m., just before the blackout. "Precise timing," Poirot said, his mind racing. The shimmer in Elena's photo, the tampered panel, the hidden gun, all aligned with a plan executed in seconds. But the vent's perfume pointed to Sophia, while the screwdriver's wear matched Crow's tools. Black's financial motive loomed, yet his calm suggested an accomplice. A sudden thud echoed from the guest wing. Poirot hurried toward the sound, finding a locked door to Crow's room. Forcing it open with his lock-picking skills, he discovered the room in disarray. Papers scattered, a drawer overturned. A small vial of oil lay broken on the floor, its scent matching the glove and telescope. Crow burst in, breathless. "Someone was here! My blueprints are gone!" Poirot's eyes narrowed. "Or you staged this, monsieur, to divert suspicion." Crow's face reddened, but before he could retort, Eleanor appeared, holding a crumpled blueprint. "I found this in the hallway," she said, her voice unsteady. The paper detailed a bridge modification, additional sensors never installed. "Langford rejected my upgrades," Crow growled, said they'd ruin his vision. Poirot examined the blueprint, noting a faint watermark, a logo tied to Black's firm. "Curious," he said, pocketing it. The pieces were aligning, but the picture remained blurred. He ordered the guests back to the hall, suspecting the ransacking was a distraction. As they complied, a faint hum came from the bridge outside, where the floodlights flickered oddly. Poirot rushed to the window, seeing a shadow move across the glass, too swift to identify. "The spider strikes again," he said, his pulse quickening. The killer was manipulating the scene, perhaps retrieving evidence or setting a new trap. The truth is near. But what final gambit awaits on the glass bridge, where every step could be Poirot's last? Chapter 9. The Shimmer of Truth. Hercule Poirot stood at the villa's window, the shadow on the glass bridge vanishing as quickly as it appeared. swallowed by the storm's lingering gloom. The hum from the bridge's floodlights, erratic and unnatural, suggested tampering. Another move by the killer to obscure the truth. "The spider dances on a fragile thread," he murmured, his little grey cells whirring. The blueprint with Marcus Black's watermark, the hollow disruptor's log, the perfume in the vent, and the oil-stained clues formed a mosaic. But the killer's identity remained just out of reach. With the police still delayed by the Alpine roads, Poirot knew he had to force the culprit's hand. He returned to the grand hall, where the guests sat in uneasy silence, their eyes flickering with suspicion. "Mesdames et messieurs," Poirot declared, his voice sharp as a blade, "the killer moves among us, tampering with evidence even now. I propose a test. Return to the bridge, where the truth will reveal itself." Gasps rippled through the group. Elena Voss clutched her notebook, her bandage stark against her sleeve. Dr. Harlan Crow's hands clenched, oil smudges still visible. Sophia Langford's face paled, her bracelet glinting. Marcus Black's smile was thin, his fingers still. "You're mad, Poirot," Black said. "The bridge is a crime scene." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Precisely, monsieur. It is where the killer feels safest." Leading the group to the bridge, Poirot carried the hollow disruptor, its low battery a nagging concern. The floodlights flickered as they stepped onto the glass, the bloodstain now a dark smear under the harsh glow. Poirot positioned himself near the control panel, watching the guests' movements. "The blackout was no accident," he said, pointing to the panel's burn mark. "Someone used this to plunge us into darkness, aided by this device." He activated the hollow disruptor, its faint shimmer distorting the air around his hand. Sophia gasped, stepping back. "That's what I saw," she blurted. "A flicker, just before the shot." Poirot nodded, noting her unprompted admission. He turned to Crow. "Monsieur, your blueprints show bridge sensors. Could they detect a hidden device?" Crow hesitated, then nodded. "If they'd been installed, yes. Langford scrapped them." Poirot's gaze shifted to the blueprint's watermark, tied to Black's firm. "Monsieur Black, your company funded Langford's bridge. Did you know of these sensors?" Black's jaw tightened. "I finance projects, not details." Poirot pressed. "Yet your ledger shows control over Langford's debts. His death transfers the bridge to your firm, oui?" Black's silence was damning, but his eyes flicked to Eleanor, a subtle tell. Poirot pivoted to Eleanor. "Mademoiselle, your photo captured the hollow disruptor's shimmer. Did you see who held it?" Eleanor's voice was unsteady. "It was too dark, but I think it was near the observatory end." Her eyes avoided Crow's, focusing on Sophia. Poirot's mind raced. The vent's perfume, Sophia's coat, the screwdriver's wear. He staged a test, activating the control panel's secondary system, mentioned in Langford's blueprints. A low hum sounded, and a hidden camera whirred to life, projecting grainy footage onto a nearby monitor. The guests froze as the screen showed the bridge at midnight. A figure, cloaked in a coat, aimed a gun at Langford, the hollow disruptor flashing briefly before the blackout. The figure's face was obscured, but the coat's lapel matched Sophia's. "Madame," Poirot said, turning to her, "explain this." Sophia's voice cracked. "I was on the bridge, yes, but I didn't shoot. I was meeting someone." Her eyes darted to Black, who remained impassive. Poirot's moustache twitched. "A secret meeting, as you hinted." "With whom?" Before she could answer, Crow lunged forward, pointing at Black. "It's him!" "He pressured Langford, used me to get to the bridge's systems." Black laughed coldly. "Prove it, old man." Poirot raised a hand, silencing them. He replayed the footage, zooming in. The figure's hand, holding the gun, bore a ring. A distinctive emerald like Sophia's. Yet the screwdriver, the oil, and the vent pointed elsewhere. "A conspiracy, perhaps," Poirot said softly. He confronted Eleanor next. "Your attack in the kitchen, who was it?" Elena hesitated, then whispered. "I saw a shadow. It wore a coat like Sophia's." Poirot's eyes narrowed. The clues circled Sophia, but the oil stains and blueprint tied to Crow and Black. He suspected a frame, or a partnership. A sudden crack echoed, a gunshot from the observatory. Poirot rushed across the bridge, the guests trailing nervously. Inside, a window was shattered, and a bullet hole marred the wall. No one was injured, but a second gun lay on the floor, identical to the first. Mon Dieu, Poirot said, his pulse racing. The killer had struck again, a warning shot to scatter suspicion. He examined the gun, no fingerprints, but a faint trace of oil. The spider spins faster, he said, turning to the group. Someone planted this to confuse us. As the guests whispered, Poirot noticed a faint reflection in the observatory's glass. A flicker, like the hollow disruptor's shimmer coming from the villa. Someone was watching, manipulating the scene. The truth was close, but the killer's final move loomed. One last thread remains. Who holds the web's center, and what will Poirot risk to catch them? Chapter 10. The web unraveled. Hercule Poirot stood in the observatory, the second gun's cold metal gleaming under the floodlights, its oil-stained grip a final taunt from the killer. The shattered window let in a biting alpine breeze, but Poirot's focus was unshakable. The guests, Elena Voss, Dr. Harlan Crowe, Sophia Langford, and Marcus Black, stood frozen, their eyes locked on him. The hollow disruptors flicker from the villa, the hidden passages, the tampered controls, and the tangled motives had woven a web of deception, but now, Poirot's little grey cells had traced every thread to its source. Mesdames et messieurs, he declared, his voice ringing with certainty. The killer stands among us, and the truth will no longer hide. He began with the crime's mechanics, pacing the observatory's steel floor. Victor Langford was shot on a locked glass bridge, the gun vanishing, the doors sealed. The hollow disruptor, found in his workshop, created a shimmer, seen in Mademoiselle Voss's photo, to mask the weapon's disposal. He held up the device, its battery now dead. The killer dropped the gun through a maintenance hatch beneath the bridge, accessed via the villa's vents, then used the blackout to escape unnoticed. He pointed to the screwdriver, its worn tip matching the control panel's sabotage. The blackout was planned, the panel tampered to plunge us into darkness. Poirot turned to the motives, his eyes sweeping the group. Each of you had reason to hate Langford. Mademoiselle Voss, your exposé threatened his empire, and he silenced you with bribes. Your notebook confirms it. Eleanor's face flushed, but she stayed silent. Monsieur Crowe, your stolen patents fueled a bitter grudge, evident in your letters and oil-stained tools. Crowe's jaw clenched, his hands trembling. Madame Langford, your diary revealed a crumbling marriage and a desperate need for freedom, your perfume lingering in the vents. Sophia's eyes glistened, but she held her composure. Monsieur Black, your ledger and burner phone showed a plan to seize the bridge through Langford's debts. Black's smile faded, his fingers still. Poirot raised the contract found in the workshop. This document transfers the bridge's ownership upon Langford's death. Not to any of you, but to a shell company tied to Monsieur Black's firm. Yet the killer's method required more than greed. It demanded precision. He held up the second gun, its oil stain matching the first. This was planted to confuse, but it betrays the killer's signature, oil, linked to Monsieur Crowe's work. Crowe protested. I told you, I'm no murderer. Poirot silenced him with a gesture. Patience, monsieur. The truth emerges. He replayed the bridge footage, pausing on the figure with the emerald ring, Sophia's. Madame, you were seen arguing with Langford, your coat's lapel caught on camera. You admitted to a secret meeting. With whom? Sophia's voice broke. It was Marcus. He promised to help me escape Victor, but I didn't shoot. Poirot nodded, turning to Black. Your burner phone's calls were to a technician, oui? The maintenance log shows a system test hours before the gala. Rigging the blackout. Black's eyes narrowed. But he said nothing. Poirot stepped closer to Elena. Mademoiselle, your attack in the kitchen was staged, your wound shallow, your story vague. Your photos captured the hollow disruptor's shimmer, yet you deleted them. Why? Elena stammered. I was scared. Poirot shook his head. Non, you were complicit. He revealed the recovered photo, showing Elena near the control panel, holding the hollow disruptor. You worked with another, using your camera to scout the bridge, your attack a ploy to divert suspicion. The final piece clicked. The killer is not one but two, Poirot said. Mademoiselle Voss and Monsieur Black. Elena tampered with the panel, using the hollow disruptor to hide the gun, which she dropped through the hatch. Black, with his technician's help, rigged the blackout and supplied the weapon. His motive the bridge's control. He held up the burner phone's call log, showing a number linked to a known associate of Black's. Your plan was meticulous, but the oil, borrowed from Crow's tools, was your error. I meant to frame him. Elena's face crumpled, and Black's calm shattered. You can't prove it, he snapped. Poirot smiled faintly. The vent's scuff marks, your coat's fibres, the screwdriver's wear, all confirm your movements. Sophia's meeting with you, Monsieur Black, was a distraction while Elena acted. The second gun, planted tonight, was your desperate attempt to muddy the waters. He turned to the group. Crow's anger was real, but he was framed. Sophia's secrets were exploited, but she did not kill. As police sirens finally echoed up the gorge, Elena broke, sobbing. Marcus promised me a fortune to expose Victor's crimes. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Black lunged for the door, but Poirot's cane tripped him, and Crow pinned him down. Justice, mes amis, Poirot said, is transparent, like the bridge. The police stormed in, cuffing the pair as Sophia and Crow exhaled in relief. The web was unravelled, the spider caught. As the storm cleared, revealing the starry alpine sky, Poirot stepped onto the bridge one last time, its glass gleaming. The truth always shines through, he murmured. If you've enjoyed this tale of deception and deduction, hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us. Join us for more mysteries and comment below. Who did you suspect?